Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning, Em. How are you?
Oh, I am having a very tired day today.
Yeah,
I did a lot of physical work yesterday.
I saw some of those posts and I was like, man, she's gonna feel like she'd been hit by a truck tomorrow morning.
You are correct, my friend.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I hit a wall of
Yeah,
tearing down and putting up walls at about 9 last night, and I was just like, oh gosh,
I
I
give
can't.
you a lot of credit for, being able to do the work yourself. When my husband and I had a house, we did a lot of renovation, but we paid contractors. And I said to my husband, you're just not, you're great at building sets and creating lighting plots and stuff like that. You can't fix a house. You don't know how to fix a house. Totally incompetent. And I'm aware of that. So um, after he passed away, any renovation, I'm like, I'm just going to pay people. I need to just, if you are the kind of person that, you know, is confident, or maybe if you were brought up using those kinds of tools and stuff, but I didn't have a dad that fixed anything. His answer was to slap duct tape on stuff.
I have a dad that fixed everything, but I think many times the answer is to slap duct tape on stuff.
We used to make fun of him because his very first Subaru that he got in 1977, he had it for a really long time. And by the time that thing died, it had duct tape, silver duct tape,
Oh my
all.
God,
I'm like, Dad, that's not the way to fix a car.
it's funny. Yeah, my dad's an engineer and definitely a tinkerer. So, I mean, like he fixes things to the max. He like uh my mom, bless both their hearts. um, when when I was growing up, we had a refrigerator that my grandmother had given us, and like I guess it had been hers for a long time, and then she gave it to us when she moved into an apartment or I don't know exactly why we got it, but that was the refrigerator that we had since as long as I could remember. And then when I was like 10, it broke, and it had broken multiple times, and my dad was like, "Oh, we'll just order the part and I'll put it in and fix it." And he called to order the part, and the refrigerator was so old that they'd stopped making the part. And my mom was like, "Oh, thank God. Finally, I have a reason to be like, Alan, let's get rid of this. We need a new refrigerator." And he was like, no worries. I can make the part." So he actually made the part that needed to be put into the refrigerator to fix it and fixed it again.
Drats, foiled again, your mother was
Yeah.
thinking, right?
So I definitely grew up with that sort of, and I feel like I have it. There's a really cute, I think it's Dilbert. Do you remember the cartoon Dilbert?
Yeah.
I do.
There was one that was like when he was a little kid, his mom took him to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "I am sorry to report that your son has the knack." She's like, "Oh no, what does that mean?" It's a high proficiency for all things technical, but the side effects, unfortunately, are complete social ineptitude. She's like, "No," and he says, "I'm afraid he's going to be an engineer." And it
I
was
was
so funny because that just describes like every engineer I know. But
thinking,
I feel like I also have the knack. I'm not so sure that I have it quite as strongly as my dad, but I definitely like tinkering with things myself.
when I was in college, my best friend's dad was a professor at Stevens Institute, and I lived with her, roomed with her in her apartment in Hoboken. And the nickname for all of it was like, well, it's just another asshole engineer. Like there was just like that was
They aren't
so
assholes. They're just very straightforward. The really good thing about an engineer, and I have found this to be basically true across the board, like what you see is what you get. There's no hidden
There's
agenda.
no
There's
guile,
no,
right? There's no
yes, no
guile.
guile whatsoever. And that I have definitely inherited from my father as well. I have no setting except for like earnest. And and that actually is, I think, a big positive. You never have to wonder where you stand.
Yeah.
All
This
right.
is so funny. It describes an engineer I know to a T, and I thought it was just him, but
No,
apparently it's all of them.
it's a thing. It's a thing.
Hilarious.
All right. So it is a little after 9:05. Let's go ahead and start to bring ourselves inward. Just take a few deep breaths. And just come to a place of calm. It always feels so good to laugh, but there is this thing that it's sort of like it can kind of ramp up our nervous system and our just sort of like our emotional response the same way sometimes that being upset can. And we have to bring ourselves back down from that too. So we're looking for if like really excited was on like a 10 and like really sad was on like a 0. We're actually looking for something sort of in the middle. We don't necessarily want to be too happy all the time. That actually can cause some of the same issues of like heightened arousal in the body as being upset or agitated. So just bringing ourselves back to the middle. For our meditation. Finding that thought or sensation or image, whatever it might be, to use as your anchor and to keep guiding your thoughts back to that place for about the next 15 minutes. Om. Coming back into your body and the world. Coming back into your own presence. The quote for today is from a lot of us are probably familiar with the program AA. There is a companion program to AA called Al Anon for people who are affected by other people's drinking. And one of their slogans, AA has things we've typically heard of, like one day at a time, that kind of thing. Al Anon has some of those too. And one of their slogans is, how important is it? I think that oftentimes throughout our day, we come upon situations that might confuse or upset or otherwise distract or agitate us. A lot of times it can be nice to, especially as we're developing this ability to pause and take a step back and ask, how important is it? Is this something that I really need to put this much stock into? Or is it something that I could potentially let go? And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is something that deserves more attention. But a lot of the times we can also find that we have a tendency to place too much importance on things that we're actually happier and more peaceful letting go of the result. So just throughout the day today, how important is it? And thank you for joining this morning.
Thank you, Emily. Great
Thank
quote.
you.
Thanks, Emily.
Have a great Friday, everyone.
Oh, yes. Great Friday, great weekend. I'll see you all tomorrow.